And hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special Sunday edition of me and Lev talking about the world. The news doesn't stop, Lev Parnas. How are you today, Lev?
As, as I've try to get a little sleep, a little just been nonstop. It's especially what we saw happen on Friday. We have just had, from Don Lemon getting arrested and an attack on independent journalism. Thursday we had the raid in Georgia with Tulsi Gabbard trying to take away our election rights, and in the middle of all of it. They dumped another 3 million pieces of files, and again, not organized, not but just a mishmash of dump and go find the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
And so, I know you've been in the process of moving, but I know you've also been working on this. I know Ellie and a lot of great independent journalists have been digging through the past, and today you found some incredible stuff. I mean, we're going to share. This is why this is a special Sunday edition, because we don't stop. We found it. We're bringing it to you. You need to know what's coming.
Yeah, this is remarkable. And credit again to Ellie for pointing this out. Yesterday, during the original Epstein dump, they released an interview that Steve Bannon had done with Jeffrey Epstein, and we know that they'd been preparing for this media training or some sort of 60-minute interview, whatever it was they were planning. But this is the first time we've heard any of that interview. It's the first time we've seen Jeffrey Epstein speak at length about anything. And that's why this is truly a remarkable piece of tape. It lasts 2 hours, and some of it might seem kind of esoteric to a lot of people. People might be thinking, why are you focusing on this stuff? It's financial minutiae, but other stuff is really fascinating. The stuff that really got me because of The Greatest Heist is when Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon talk at length about where he was on the day he found out about. Oh, look at all this crazy movements going on in my camera here. Let me just get rid of that. Where he was on the day that he found out that Lehman Brothers had collapsed or was collapsing. And the answer is he was in jail, which we knew he was in jail. But what he reveals next is absolutely stunning. The first two phone calls he makes directly after finding, and he's allowed two phone calls in a day that he can do collect. And it's fascinating to hear him describe who he calls and why he calls them. Then we find out about who some of the client list is, which not the client list of the sex clients, but the financial advisory that he did. And Steve Bannon, in one of these questions, reveals a list of people that includes Putin, the president of China, the king of Saudi Arabia. Now, Epstein doesn't reveal that. Bannon reveals it, but it's remarkable that this is an exchange with the two of them. We'll also find out from Epstein whether it's a good idea for people like Harvard to be taking donations from a man like him, who at that point was a convicted sex criminal. So he answers all of these. It's really enlightening. I mean, I have to say, I've not heard him speak at length ever. The little bit I've heard him speak has not sounded very authoritative or pleasant or nice. And he comes across as being a very smart, affable guy in this, which is, of course, the point of this interview
Professional
series
con
that they were
artist.
doing. But it is just fascinating, especially from the 2008 perspective, because we've been focusing so much on how involved he was with Bear Stearns and JP Morgan. And he confirms that in this interview. And now he doesn't confirm that he collapsed the 2008 market. He says, he doesn't own up to that part. But he certainly confirms that he was involved and talking to all the parties, including the Treasury Secretary, at the time that all of this was happening. So it's a remarkable educational piece. We're going to play about 30 minutes here, and it's worth I'll let you talk before we play the full thing, but there's
Yeah,
30 minutes
please.
here which are really interesting, and then we'll come back on. We'll talk a little bit about what we heard, and then we can do another 5 minutes on the donations piece. But any first thoughts from you as you're getting this in for the first time?
I mean, I'll tell you, besides the fact that, like what you said, I think it's fascinating to see Epstein actually speak in an environment, and also, again, listen to some of the things, the financial stuff, because we always concentrating in a lot, which we should, on the survivors and the, horrendous crimes that they're doing that they did. But a lot of it also had to do with the power and the financial and the hurt that they put on the world economy, the United States economy, and how all of it. And you've been doing an great job uncovering it. What we're going to see in some of it in this video. But the fascinating part, I think, which the biggest part that we're missing from this whole thing that is right in front of our eyes, and we're going to talk about this afterwards and talk about signing the petition, is that in 2018, when this, right, 2018 is when this,
This interview took place just before he died. So 2019, we suspect, this
2019.
was the last interview that he would have done, and it's never been revealed. So it's, 7 years later almost, it hasn't been done.
Right. So think about it. 2019, you had Jeffrey Epstein speaking with Steve Bannon, who was extremely close to the Trump campaign at one point, being his campaign manager in 2016, and having that relationship. And you hear in not only some of these conversations, but also in prior emails that we heard about Epstein talking even with his brother Mark. Is Bannon giving information to the Russians? Are the fact that in this time frame, while Trump was in office, that Bannon and Epstein had such interest, control, influence, and to have Trump come out and make a comment. He made an interesting comment because I think a lot of it has to do with why they're leaking certain things right now. The reason I think they leaked some of this stuff, and even they erased it because they want the attention to be brought on it, because Trump came out on Air Force One, said now he's going to sue the Epstein estate. He's going to sue Michael Wolff because now they're saying that there was a campaign built against him to, while he
Yeah,
was
I
in
heard that.
office.
I heard the
So
clip
so
a
so
few
so
minutes
so
ago.
right, you heard that. You saw it.
Yeah.
So it's now he's not now walking away that he didn't know him. Here now it's about like Epstein was fully involved in his world all the way up to the day he died. While Trump was in office, while he ran for office, he was involved with Michael Cohen, interested in Michael Cohen's testimony in the case, talking about, we even saw just today, in this dump, that there was an email to Epstein saying Cohen could take Trump down. You know what I'm saying
Yeah.
to you?
I mean, the
So
president goes
it's
on to say
fascinating
that
to watch
he
all
believes
this.
he's absolved by the fact that Michael Wolff and Epstein were trying to take him down. And obviously that's not the case, because we have many, many documents in the stump which allude, and even others that are very, kind of shocking when you read the graphic detail about it all, could show that the president was involved in many, many gruesome crimes on the sexual side, which we haven't even begun to get to. But you're right about him playing this. I mean, absolutely, they are doing their utmost to make this seem like they're the victims, and it's so ridiculous to imagine Donald Trump is the victim in the Epstein saga when we know very well he was his best friend. We know he was involved in a lot of shady, potentially criminal things, both financial and with underage girls, and other things that they were involved in. That it's just the height of cheek for them to be claiming that they're somehow victims, and now they're going to be suing Michael Wolff for that. It's ridiculous. But let's get into it. Let's watch the first 30 minutes here, and let me know what you think afterwards. And of course, we'll take your questions and comments as it's playing. Keep them coming. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to Lev Parnas if you haven't yet, because he deserves every subscription he can get, and a paid subscription. And then we'll tell you all about his petition later on. So let's get going here. This is Jeffrey Epstein talking to Steve Bannon in 2019 about the 2008 crash.
No access to newspapers.
No access to anything.
You had lived on information.
Except my almond joy bars. I had extra almond joy bars.
Did you eat almond joy bars and things like that because you're afraid of what the cooks did to your food?
Yes.
Is that because of that you were in for the crimes that you were in for?
No, it was just in fact, I
Is
was.
it because you're wealthy?
Yes.
How did you know that?
Well, people would constantly come if I was passing by or have to go for my medical. People would either ask to borrow money or make some other types of comments about.
In
the beginning,
what were the comments? At the beginning, what were the comments?
It serves you fucking rich guys right that you're here next to me.
There was nothing about your crimes.
No.
So all this rumor you hear all the time about people in prison that commit the type of crimes you commit, you're saying in your personal thing is not true.
No.
It was all because you were rich.
Yes.
And it was all because they wanted to borrow money.
Or get advice. Yes.
Where they get advice to
Which
to
stock
go
to-
long, to go
which-
long.
yes,
Are you
is-
telling me
is this time to buy?
You're telling me in solitary confinement they're interested in going long.
Yeah. They want to know
What
what
does that say
stocks.
about human nature?
Well, what I think that people find, one of the reasons they wanted to keep me in solitary confinement was they're afraid that everybody would want to know which stocks to buy. But what happened was, after this crisis, now it's on the front page of every newspaper.
I don't want to lose this day.
Sorry.
When you first heard that, was it Bear Stearns had been kicked into bankruptcy, what, 6 months before?
No, this is the same time. This is part of the same deal.
I thought, no. Bear Stearns, they saved Bear Stearns and didn't save Lehman Brothers. That's
right.
it.
They
6
let
months
Lehman-
before they had bailed out Bear Stearns, but Bear Stearns was still a zombie,
A shell of its former
a
self.
former self. But they had quote unquote saved it. They admit. Why did they make the decision in your mind? Why did Hank Paulson and Bernanke what's this concept of moral hazard? Explain to the audience what moral hazard is, and why did they save Bear Stearns 6 months before, and why did the smartest guys in the room decide not to save Lehman Brothers?
It's a good question. The real issue is I'd have to go back, when you have these systems, to the way your doctor responds to any type of emergency in your body. If they might decide to save your kidneys and let your gallbladder go, because the gallbladder is less important to your overall system. If at that time, even it's not that long ago, the boogeyman was when said, well, what really happened? Jeffrey, what really happened? What is this financial crisis? And, some of the progressives and the right wing blame it on the banks. It was the banks' fault. And it's the fault of this very esoteric, unknown concept of derivatives. It was really the derivatives that caused this financial crisis, because the derivatives got somehow out of control and in the Mickey Mouse.
And that was the way you started your road to a billionaire went right through derivatives.
Yes. But derivatives were not the cause. Derivatives were not the cause at all. It's like saying your hair was the cause of your heart attack because it was on top of your head.
So
when
what
you
was
fell
the
down.
cause?
There isn't, let me say, there's no one specific cause. These are system collapses. So many times when they have to make your death certificate, when you say, well, what did he die from? They'll say heart failure. But if you say, what was the cause of his heart failure? Well, he had low blood pressure, his sugar was high, he was diabetic, he had all these other problems. But you say, no, we need a word on your death certificate. Did he die from brain damage? Did he die from heart failure? That's the financial crisis. Many people said, well, what caused it? They wrote, like on its death certificate, derivatives. But derivatives are not a fundamental cause of anything.
Was it Sunday or Monday? I take it was Monday morning when you made your two collect calls and you were talking to Bear Stearns on one hand and Morgan Stanley on the other.
J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan. That was Monday morning. Did you, Jeffrey, being one of the financial geniuses in the world, did you understand what Lehman Brothers going into bankruptcy, the domino effect, that by Thursday the financial system would be under such extremis that if it didn't have $1 trillion cash infusion in the United States, it might collapse? Did you know that at the time? Did you view that at the time?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
Again, I don't want to bore you or the audience with the idea of it's a medical procedure, but you had system failures. So you'd recognize that if I said to you, did you realize when your father was on the ground and he was clutching his chest and he couldn't breathe, it was a bad situation, he could die. That's how I saw it.
Did you immediately think about the commercial paper market? I mean, the mechanical triggers that actually you had to blow through these circuit boards. Did you know the circuits? Did you understand the circuits? Or did you have a concept of the circuits that were going to get blown through?
Yes, but only because of an analogy to a body. And in fact, from my telephones against the wall with my little metal wires, because the next day I talked to another person in Washington, about the issues of what I thought was happening. And I made the same discussion about the,
They were at the Treasury Department?
yes,
So in a 6x9 cell in
the phones were outside the cell.
in Palm Beach County, California,
West Palm Beach, Florida.
West Palm Beach, Florida.
This was your juice diet.
West Palm Beach, Florida. West Palm Beach, Florida. West Palm Beach, Florida. You're making a call to Washington D.C. to talk to some deputy secretary of Treasury.
Someone in Treasury.
Right. Someone in Treasury.
Right.
And that does not. The night before you go to bed, it doesn't dawn on you at all. You never have a moment of self-reflection that how did I end up on this metal cot when I should be at the center of things?
No, I had a telephone, so I've said, I can talk to, it makes no difference where I am, in fact. I'm still talking to the same person if I was at my home in Palm Beach. But I'm
the
here in
difference is you're
jail.
home in Palm Beach.
I can dial my
That's a
own phone.
That's bullshit. No, but you can also make 1,000 phone calls. Here you got to make one, and he's got to take.
Think
the
how much
seconds.
better that was. I had to decide who was the right person to call. That was unusual for me, because I would have called 20 people
And
before.
what was the advice you gave him?
I said, you have a sick patient, and it's very much like a sick patient in the emergency room. You can't think about it like your car. People in normal walks of life think about money and things as a machine. And unfortunately, so if your car breaks, cars are always easy to fix. My jets, my cars, if it breaks, I know it can be fixed because it simply follows the same pattern. If this part breaks, you replace the part and the thing works again. People and the financial system are not machines. They can't be fixed the same way. You can't simply take out the bond, put some more juice into the commercial paper market, and that's like replacing the carburetor on the car. It's much more, I have a patient who can't breathe, has a stomach problem, can't see, looks bleeding at the same time. What do I do first? I have to think about it as a system. Where's the most logical place? What's the most dangerous place? If your heart stopped, we have to start your heart again. In the equivalent to the money market, why do I have to start your heart again? I need to get your blood flowing. If your blood stops, you're dead. If liquidity, which is the equivalent of blood in the financial system, dries up.
Once liquidity is basically cash, putting cash into the
Forget
system.
about what it is.
Okay.
Liquidity is liquidity. It allows the system, it's the blood of the system. You need to pump blood hard into the body of the economy to keep it flowing. And if you're, especially when you're worried about someone dying, you're not going to be worried about the niceties of, well, you got the shirt dirty and there was some damage. Pump in that blood, keep that heart
When you
pumping
talked to the person in Treasury on Tuesday, the 16th, did you get a feeling as you were sitting in your 6x9 jail cell in West Palm Beach, Florida, that they were on top of things?
No, you can't. It's impossible to be on top of things. There's no such thing. It's, again, the doctor watching the patient die. You hopefully have some confidence that he's seen it before. He recognizes that there are some steps he has to take first before he bandages the guy's finger or worries about what shoes he has on. So you hope that the people in charge, your doctors who are working on the emergency patient, have enough experience and, frankly, judgment to try to keep the patient alive.
Did you think that they had those things, patience and judgment?
They had pretty good judgment, and you needed a lot of luck, just like in the dead patient. You need to, hopefully you put that blood in and it's not too late. And you make some mistakes, but you have to know you're going to have to give it a shock.
In the run-up to the September crash of 2008,
Yeah.
I guess you weren't occupied with finance. That whole summer, how long had you been in jail?
Went to jail June 30th.
So the entire summer.
Yes.
Before you went into jail, you were still very active in the financial markets.
Yes.
When you say active, you trade currencies every day, you trade stocks every day. When people,
I don't do any-
someone like you, or you give advice to people to trade stocks or trade currencies.
I don't trade every day. I think that's, like Woody Allen said, you can't beat the bank. So I try to pick my spots. George Soros picked his spot when the pound collapsed. This would have been a great money-making opportunity that passed me by when I was in jail, but that's not how I think.
In the run-up to that, in the spring of 2008, that's when Bear Stearns got in problems, I think, in the spring of 2008, and they decided to bail it out. Did the Bear Stearns guys talk to you for advice at that time when the big crisis in Bear Stearns?
No, but see, again, unbeknownst to most people, and it's easy to blame people for the financial crisis, like you'd blame someone for giving your father the drink before he had his heart attack. But what really happened, the real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton. And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton.
Because of what Bob Rubin and he did to deregulate the financial system?
No. Because as of the last time we had our 60-minute interview, you talked to me about home ownership. And you asked me whether everyone should own a home. And I told you, no, it's too risky.
So the financial collapse of 2008 is because of hardworking African Americans, Hispanics, and whites who wanted to have a ownership stake in the society that all rests on their shoulders. They're the culprits.
No, not at all.
Okay, then
I didn't say they were the culprits. I was pretty clear it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
Why was it Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton wanted to get votes from those people. And he sold them the idea that instead of renting in a house, and historically the values of houses have gone up, and he said, you guys in these local communities who haven't been able to afford a house before, I'm going to show you a way. I'm going to give you a way because I'm sure I'll get your vote that you can own a house because I want your vote. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you buy a house, Mr. Bannon, when you really, you're right on the border, maybe, or not even on the border. Your credit is not good. Okay, let's be honest. And it's not my fault, it's not Bill Clinton's fault, but if whatever happens, at the moment your credit score or whatever it is, your credit's not good. Now, normally, you come to me and want to borrow money, I'm a bank, and I say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bannon, I can't lend you money because your credit score is not up to where it needs to be. Hopefully, if you work harder and clean up some of your problems, it will be. But no, what I say to you is, I'm going to figure out a way to lend you, not give you. I'm going to lend you money anyway, though you don't have a good credit score. And don't worry, I'm going to get rid of the term that you don't have bad credit. Bad credit sounds pejorative. You don't want to be a person.
Sounds judgmental.
Yes, sounds judgmental. So what we're going to do is we're going to call your credit situation subprime. Oh, nobody knows what that means. Subprime. That means prime is good credit. Subprime is not good credit, less than good credit. So we'll call it something that people really won't follow, and we'll tell you what. We're going to have people lend you money, though you are a subprime borrower, and I will figure out some government agencies to guarantee your loan, though I don't think you're a good risk. So the banks say, no, 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 we don't want, initially, the bank said, sorry, this is too risky, Mr. President, for us. We're in the business of managing risk. It's not our money. It's the hard-working people's money sitting in our bank. We can't lend to people whose credit is not prime. You're asking us to lend to people who are subprime. And he says, here's the key, if you don't, Mr. Bannon, I'm going to make sure the Justice Department charges you with discriminatory lending because you refuse to lend to my subprimers. In business terms, you should never lend to. But what we'll do is I'm going to form an agency called Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae, just another agency names. They'll guarantee your loan. So don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to pay it back anymore. Even though and maybe you don't even have to work as hard anymore. That's probably a harsh statement, but these players, these two big firms, Fannie Mae, will guarantee the fact that that bank will receive its money. Now, the bank says, wow, best deal in history. I refused to lend to Mr. Bannon, but now he has the big brother, his Uncle Sam. He went to his Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam says, I'm guaranteeing it. The bank says, I want everybody. Give me as many people as you can give me, because Uncle Sam is the best credit in the world. Not only it's the United States government. We'll take it all. We'll take as much subprime as we can handle, because it's the best investment for the moment. It's a strange investment because it has politics that has inserted its way into the numbers. Politics doesn't belong in the markets, but now we're going to have, I want the votes, we'll make guarantees that you who can't get a house normally will be able to get a house from the bank. The bank says, this is the best deal in history. We will package 100, 300, 1,000 of you subprimers, and we'll sell it off to somebody else. And the whole system becomes mired in subprime mortgages. That's becomes the
What do
issue.
you mean mired? There's just too much supply. It's a supply-demand problem. You get too much supply.
No, it's a very good question. What does too much supply mean? Well, then you get to people, go back to your first question to me, government leaders. Government leaders know if they're good, and they can do mathematics, they can balance their checkbooks. So certain people in Congress said, well, how do you value these subprime mortgages? The banks say, we've been valuing them the same way we've always valued them for the past 20 years. The accounting firms, there's something in this country called GAAP accounting, which is a standard type of accounting. And we account for them the same way we've always accounted for them. If we paid $1,000 for your mortgage last night, when we put it on our books today, we're going to say its value is $1,000. It makes sense. I paid for it what's its value? It's $1,000. That's what I paid for it last night. No. The Congress people said, that's not really a good answer, you know. That doesn't give us confidence that you know what you're doing. Because what happens if you have to sell it tomorrow morning? Something's happened and you have to sell it. Remember, there's kinds of stress tests. Would you be able to value it at what you paid for it the day before? And Wall Street says, that's not the way you can think about this. This is crazy. We always value things at the cost from the day before. And they changed the accounting method, in essence, to say not what it was worth yesterday, but if I have to sell, what would it be worth?
We could stop it there for a second here, Lev, and
What
just get
happens
a sense
every
of what
bank
your thinking
now
is
has to
around this
value
as we're listening to.
something they bought yesterday
Let
at
me
lower
make
Yeah.
sure he keeps
than
quiet
they
here.
paid.
You know, it's fascinating hearing him for the first time. I'm struck by what he says about making those first two calls. On the one hand, he's got a call to the CEO of Bear Stearns. This is one of these two calls that he's allowed to make every day. Jimmy Kane is on one phone. The next call is to his friend at JP Morgan, which of course was, I suspect, in this case, Jess Staley, that we're talking about there. I mean, these two are both important figures in the history of Jeffrey Epstein. And as I've written about in The Greatest Heist, I think it's how they helped collapse the market in 2008 by him triggering off the demise of Bear Stearns. But I'd love to hear your take. Oh, wait, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're audio muted or I'm audio muted.
I hear you.
Maybe it's just me. Go ahead. I think it's just me. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, the couple of takes I took out there. First of all, I agree with you 100%. I think just listening from what he was talking about in 2008, that you could tell in his, it's what he wasn't saying more than what he was saying, and the way he was saying it and the way he was implying that, if he wasn't in jail he could have made 20 calls, and who are those 20 people he would have called, what would have taken place, calling the treasury straight from prison and thinking nothing of it. The fact that, the one thing I noticed out of there from somebody that has been to prison, and this is an important fact because a lot of people made this whole assumption of him killing himself when he was arrested in 2000. Well, let me just say something to you. That did not sound like a person that was scared
No,
to be in prison, or,
no,
that somebody sounded like a person that was kind of comfortable and understood solitary confinement. You hear him talking about wasn't his first rodeo. That did not somebody that was saying like, "Oh my God, I need to get out of there." Also, while he was in prison at that time, also, you remember, he was also able to leave prison, and so it was interesting to watch how he nonchalantly spoke about that and didn't really, consider that as a major, like a blow. Like, even Bannon pushed him on it, saying, "But wait, wasn't it?" He was like, "It was kind of even better, it's like I didn't have to make the
yeah.
20 phone
It sounds
calls.
like it's a good
It was
thing.
that." It was, yeah, it was that. So, that's an important thing, that what's it called. The other thing very interesting that I got out of this is that, Bannon in 2019 is basically trying to rebrand Epstein. Why? It's a very important question. Why is Bannon, that is, obviously understands that he is, involved pedophilia, has been, convicted of it, knows that supposedly Trump has gotten rid of him. He's close to Trump. I'm just saying, connecting the dots, but at the same time, Bannon is heavily involved with Epstein, and he's continuously doing a documentary. But the documentary that these interviews are based on, and you could tell, are a way of making Epstein look like something better, like this mathematician professor, like
Yeah, he
this,
keeps flattering him,
real,
doesn't he? He keeps saying what a financial wizard
correct
he is and ruling the
wizard,
world
correct.
financially and the
Correct. Those
mastermind, the only person who can
keywords.
understand
Yes.
it.
Yes. 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 Those were the keywords. Like, I'm looking at my notes here. Like, he was. That's something more like he's trying to that, and that's why I said, why is he trying to rebrand him?
Hmm.
The other thing is
Well, let's ask the
very
question, why is he
interesting.
trying to rebrand him? I mean, is it because
Yeah.
Donald Trump is about to leave office? Is it because Donald Trump is in office, is about to arrest him? I don't know.
That was that. Well, that was my next question to you. Does because as close as Steve Bannon, and I know, was with Donald Trump at this time.
Mhm.
What, remember, Steve Bannon was one of the only people Trump pardoned right away, that as quick as he could. Even Manafort went to prison for a year and a half before he got his pardon. So it was, why is that happening? Did Donald Trump maybe put Stephen Bannon on this to rebrand Epstein, knowing that, or somehow, maybe, I don't know, but I'm just saying to you, connecting the links between Bannon, Epstein, and Trump right there in 2019. That's
The
really,
trigger for
really,
me
and
there was when he mentioned Bill
yeah,
Clinton, blaming everything on Bill Clinton.
yes,
This is
that's
something they love
exactly
to
right
do
here,
in the
him
Trump
right
White
here,
House. Sorry, I don't mean to
exactly.
jump ahead, but
No,
I mean, you're basically, this is the guy saying, "Hey, it's all Bill Clinton's fault," where no one really thinks it's Bill Clinton's fault. And the only person that would appeal to is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, correct. That for Epstein to say that the crash was Bill Clinton's fault, the market was Bill Clinton. But the other also interesting thing that I'll end off on this one, is that when Trump came out earlier today or yesterday, last night,
Mm.
and out of this dump said that he needs to go after Wolf, because Wolf looks like he's been in touch with Epstein to go after Trump, or his campaign. He didn't mention Bannon, because
Right,
Bannon and Wolf were doing the same exact thing,
right,
basically,
of course.
interviewing him. So that's one thing. But the other thing is how, and I need you to explain to me, Zeb, because this is one of the reasons why I'm going to ask each and every one of you, if you have not signed this petition right now, go ahead and sign it. Make sure you spread it, because how in the hell, out of all the people that the number two people that are not being right now subpoenaed and being talked to are Steve Bannon and Michael
Oh
Wolff.
yeah.
Yes, we could talk about Cohen, we could talk about Lutnick, we could talk about Elon Musk. All of those have these little roles, but you have two individuals that not only have spent extensive time with this man up to his death through while the president was in presidency. We have extensive dumps in these emails and all kinds of connecting the conversations between them that go farther, way farther than just journalistic or interview, where conversations even beyond. So explain to me, Zev, how are we? What else could we be waiting for? And not only that, but also both of these. This is so. Just think about it. What we're seeing here is what the feds have, or what was dumped. So this is one. I'm hearing there's 15 hours of interviews, Ev, that
There's a
Bannon
lot.
has 15 hours of interviews with Epstein. 15 hours? This is what I'm saying to you. Wolf has come on and said he has pictures, videos that haven't, this is, I don't
Well,
know.
this is
I'm
the thing.
sorry.
We need to
Yeah.
get Michael Wolff under oath, and we need to get Steve Bannon under oath
Yeah.
because what we're
Yeah.
getting here is a piece of the story. They released this either accidentally or to tantalize people, but they pulled it back afterwards, meaning they probably found something in there that was a little scary, or they didn't wasn't authorized. To me, the relationship between Bannon and Epstein and Wolf and Epstein becomes more and more interesting every day, as does Michael
I'm
Cohen's
sorry. Ellie
involvement.
said 100 hours.
100
Wolf,
hours,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Ellie said Wolf has 100 hours. I apologize. Go ahead, Zev. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, and they both have secrets, And I asked Michael Wolff if he knew that if Donald Trump and Epstein had been involved in any business deals together. I was really surprised when he said yes, because he had not reported that anywhere else. And then he told me it had to do with a tax evasion thing that they did in 1996 when Trump came back from Moscow, fully rich after being bankrupted a couple of years ago, previously. So how did that happen that he was suddenly fully rich? And if Epstein was advising him on whatever money he got from the Russians, well, that's a really good question. I don't know if we got to it in this interview, but when Bannon asks him the question about the Russian leader, the Chinese leader, and the King of Saudi Arabia being people that he advised, I have
Right?
never seen Epstein in a room. He didn't deny it. He didn't say it's true, but Bannon said it, that the King of Saudi Arabia, the president of China, and the president of Russia were often on the call seeking advice from Jeffrey Epstein. Now let's triangulate that with the other thing that he said, which was I was on the phone to Bear Stearns CEO, and I was on the phone to J.P. Morgan's just Jess Staley and J.P. Morgan, and then I was on the phone to the Treasury while in jail. By the way, make sense of all of that. How that man gets to do that while he's in jail for a crime is beyond me. But the fact that at the same time Bannon thinks he's also advising all these other world leaders, how come he is the middleman of all this information about what's happening to or his analysis or his intelligence, whatever it is that he has, what's happening to the American economy while he's on the phone with these people who are critical to this process and also advising the King of Saudi Arabia and the Chinese premier and president and the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. If he's doing that, that is spycraft. That is intelligence work. That is not stuff that is just, I am having conversations with clients. These are clients that are foreign leaders who are, influential, to say the least, and adversaries of the United States.
But I agree with you, and it keeps fascinating. The more and more you keep saying it, and the more you keep saying, the more and more I'm fascinating that Bannon was so involved and knew that, and that with his relationship with Trump at the time, that the more and more it makes me wonder, did how much did Trump know about this?
Hmm.
And maybe not. You know what? I'll even tell you go further this, because Bannon This is interesting because we need to because this is getting because now it's me thinking back there, the one thing none of them have is a true alliance to each other. So Bannon is a sleazeball, and he would play it. He could play Trump against other people. What I'm wondering if Bannon didn't somehow use this information with Bill Barr,
He could
and
have.
somehow and right after that we saw Epstein get arrested, and because Bannon was more of a long-term player, and at the time Trump was not you know somebody that looked like was going to be 100 shoo-in with the impeachment coming up at that, because this is the same time 2019, the impeachment, all of this was going on. So you know, and again, you got Vladimir Putin bringing in. You got that email right before Trump goes to meet with Putin in Helsinki, with Epstein talking about. And you got another email with Mark Epstein and Jeffrey talking about between themselves about if not only about that Bubba,
Yeah.
what the media was, but also in that email they're talking about, did Bannon give the information over to the Russians?
Hmm.
What information did he give to the Russians, and why? Or is he still something like that? I don't want
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. It
to
was
phrase it
about,
the right.
yeah. Look, we also have
Yeah. So
this week we found out that the full extent of the Leon, well, some of the extent of the Leon Black relationship with Epstein and these other rapes that happened allegedly by Leon Black. Leon Black was on the Russian Development Council, the same one with Kirill Dmitriev. I have a photograph of him sitting 2 chairs away from Vladimir Putin, smiling at each other. I mean, Leon Black is not a stranger to Russia. He got a lot of money in 1996 when he visited Russia with whom? With Donald Trump. And then he later on becomes the longest serving American on the RDI and RDIF, sorry, and also a good friend of Kirill Dmitriev. And we all know how that connects to what's
that's
going on in
right.
the world right now. So it's a very, it's not hard to see all the connection points, plus the Latnik the other day, plus Musk as well. I
Uh,
mean, these are all people who figure quite heavily in the Russian
and like
world.
Ellie just reminded the Saudi prince. Then don't forget who
Yeah.
was just meeting with Putin just yesterday, the MBS, and
Yes.
who introduced Kirill Dmitriev to Jared Kushner in Saudi, MBS, who was involved in all of these talks right now in Qatar, all of a sudden. So absolutely, 100%. It's all the same players. That's why folks that wear the shirt, everybody
Everyone is in the
is in
loop.
the loop.
It really does.
They're all in the
I want to
loop.
play that clip from the 2 calls again, because I just want people
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
to hear exactly what was said. I think it's fascinating. I hope it's the right one. Let's take a listen. Are you hearing it? I'm not hearing it, but
No,
no, you're not hearing it. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's
I
not
see it
playing.
now.
No, it's not playing now. And I thought it was going to play, but I'll play you another clip just because we're in the middle of this. Um, let's play him talking about the ethics of the money and all of that, which is, to me, fascinating. Listen to what he's asked here by Bannon, and then his response is quite fascinating.
No access to newspapers,
No access to anything.
You had lived on information.
Except my almond joy bars. I had extra
Oh wait,
almond
this
joy
is the
bars.
other. I'm not
Did
sure.
you eat almond joy bars and things like that because you're afraid of what
Even then, just
the
listen
cooks
to him
did to your
talking
food?
about how oh, I had almond joy bars, I
Is
didn't
that
have access.
because
Like he was this
that
is
you
not
were
a
in for
person
the
that
crimes that you were in for?
Let's just go. Let's just listen to what this. This is a different clip, but let's just listen
Because
to
you're
it here.
wealthy?
Yes.
How did no access to newspapers?
No access to anything.
You had lived on information.
Except my almond joy bars. I had extra almond joy bars.
Did you eat almond joy bars and things like that because you're afraid of what the cooks did to your food?
Yes.
Is that because of that you were in for the crimes that you were in for?
No, it was just in fact, I was.
Is it because you're wealthy?
Yes.
How did you know that?
Well, people would constantly come if I was passing by or have to go for my medical. People would either ask to borrow money or make some other types of comments about.
In
the beginning,
what were the comments? At the beginning, what were the comments?
it serves you fucking rich guys right that you're here next to me.
There was nothing about your crimes.
No.
So all this rumor you hear all the time about people in prison that commit the type of crimes you commit, you're saying in your personal thing is not true.
No.
It was all because you were rich.
Yes.
And it was all because they wanted to borrow money.
Or get advice. Yes.
Where they get advice to
Which
go long,
Yes,
Are you telling me
is this time to buy?
You're telling me in solitary confinement they're interested in going long?
Yeah. They want to know
What does that say
stocks-
about human nature?
Well,
Let's leave it there because we've heard the rest of that. But it's fascinating to me that this man is in jail, and the part I was trying to play
Well,
was
he's full of shit a little bit.
Yeah, he's totally full of shit.
Yeah, he's full of shit because solitary confinement, you're not walking by and speaking to. I was in solitary confinement. You're walking by, you're not speaking to any. You got two guards walking you by, and in
Interesting.
solitary confinement, you got two cells that are closed off. You're not. They're not screaming at you. What stock am I buying?
I think later
If
on he
anything,
clarifies
they're
it's one of the guards that showed up and he said, hey, he lost his money. This is how he finds out that Lehman is collapsing. Look, I have a hard time to believing that he was in solitary confinement completely because I thought he was under house arrest at the time, and it was a very luxurious house arrest. So unless we have the record wrong, or unless this particular period is different from his actual house arrest, maybe it preceded that, we'll have to check the timing. Maybe he was in solitary confinement for a couple of days there. I don't know. It just strikes me as being...
I think he's confused.
Oh, you got paused there. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh dear. You may need to reconnect, Lev, because I don't see you connecting right now. But let me use the same thing. You know, while Lev reconnects, let me play you this clip that I was going to play you. This is about the devil and the money going to Harvard. This is a really interesting clip. Check it out. Oops, check it out here, I believe. Also no audio though. I don't know why the audio is not playing. Here we go.
No really new ideas have come out. And I realized that, of course, it hasn't come out because we've been looking at using science and mathematics, and it's the wrong tool. It's obvious.
Institutions that are set up and try to put forward knowledge and understanding and truth, should they take your money?
Derek Bach at Harvard said, taking money for good causes is a good thing.
So if Hitler took all the gold out of the teeth of the Jews and said, I want to give this to Heidelberg University to fund the Leibniz chairs so that I can study high energy physics, Derek Bach would say that was fine?
Again, it's these questions are questions where good people on both sides, like your Charlottesville, could differ. I don't know the answer to these questions.
So tell us the two. Give us the two answers. The one answer why it shouldn't be, and then the one answer. Derek Bach says, "I'll essentially take cash from anybody because I got so many projects, so many good guys, and this is the way I'll do it. So I'm indifferent to where the cash comes from. Money's money, and if I got good guys, I'm the fiduciary. Says these are good people and this is good research. Okay, I'll take the cash from from any source, including you." What's the other argument?
Let me give you that. I know in my case,
Is your money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it,
But you earned it.
I earned it legally.
We went back to this before. You earned
Yes.
it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things. And just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
You think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no
Why?
question. Because I think about, ethics is always a complicated subject, but I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India, instead of asking me whether that money should be given to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people
If we
with their
walked in,
money.
if we walked
That's
in,
what-
you're,
is
you're a
that a fair
mathematician.
question?
You're a mathematician. If we walked into that clinic
You're
where they're giving that money out to these people that are,
I mean, saving polio while being a child rapist it's hard to square away.
Is coming from a, what are you, class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
What's tier 1's the highest and worst?
No, I'm
The lowest?
I'm the lowest.
You're the
yes.
lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yes.
That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
I think if you
See,
told them,
to-
if I told them the
100%.
devil
Himself.
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is
Was
somebody
the devil
knows
smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is the he is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
He stops it right there. That's really interesting. Talking about being the devil, it gets tough on him, and he's like, okay, let's kill it. I'm done with this interview. I got to go.
Yeah, and the interesting part, he never answered the question because the question is, "Are you the devil?"
Yeah.
He didn't answer the question. He asked, "Why would you ask that?" He went around that. And then he stopped it. He never answered. That's really interesting.
Yeah, this is. I'm going to play that one last clip just one more time. But I think beyond that, people are going to have to watch this full 2-hour interview. I'll put it in the article below, and everyone can assess it themselves. I think what we're seeing here is an attempt by Jeffrey Epstein to whitewash himself, to rewrite 2008. For me, it's so interesting that they focus so heavily on 2008. If this is part of their big 60-minute interview, I would not say that 2008 would be the biggest thing you'd want to talk about. But here they are talking about 2008 at length. And that to me is really interesting that they're going through that.
He said, before you put that on, you know what also is interesting to me? Why Steve Bannon? I mean, here you are, you're Jeffrey Epstein, you got all this money, all this power, all of these connections, all of this, you could do whatever you want. You could have literally probably 60 minutes do an interview on you and figure, why Steve Bannon? Why is he having this, all these conversations with Steve Bannon? I always say, and it's not what they do, it's what you're not seeing. The fact that he's choosing Steve Bannon, I think, is more of a story than the reason even some of the questions Bannon is asking him, because Steve Bannon is not some huge platform for Epstein. Steve Bannon is a far-right platform. So, the only connection I see for Steve Bannon to be doing this is Donald Trump.
Absolutely. It sounds like the kind of thing, if they'd given 60 Minutes this job, 60 Minutes would have asked many different questions. If I was sitting across from Jeffrey Epstein, those aren't the questions I'd be asking. So what they're doing here, it seems to me like a orchestrated attempt by that network to try and rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein, to try and make him seem like he's not, that bad a guy. And in the same process, try to rehabilitate them all and protect them all. Because if Jeffrey Epstein isn't such a bad guy, then they're all not such bad guys.
Except for the Clintons and others that are still to blame.
And I know during the time I first covered the Epstein thing, I got a lot of pressure from people saying, why aren't you covering Clinton more? Why aren't you putting Clinton on this? Why are you always focusing on Trump? And I was like, well, that's what I'm reporting on. That's what I see. I'm not seeing a lot of Clinton, although he certainly was involved. But there was a lot of pressure from different people saying, focus on Clinton, focus on Clinton. So I think you're getting the same sense of that here, where they're trying to deflect, because same as Trump. The first thing he always says about Epstein, it's Clinton. It's Clinton. The first thing they released from the files, it's Clinton. Well, why is it always Clinton when we know, in fact, that they were much closer as friends than Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein ever was? It almost feels to me like Clinton was a convenient setup for them in some ways, and it's a good deflection on all their crimes that they're hiding, which are really coming out in these Epstein files. Let's play the clip again of the Bear Stearns and JP Morgan reference. If I think it'll play, hopefully it'll play, because I think it's just stunning to me.
A jail cell that was 6x9 with a steel bed and your food being passed into a slot.
The question you want to ask is, who was the other call to?
Okay. Who was the other call to?
The other call was to my friend at JP Morgan, who was then, I didn't know it at the time, trying to buy Bear Stearns.
Wow.
So at one point, I had two phones. It was difficult because they're afraid people are going to hang themselves with the phone cord. So they don't actually come together and they're pretty short. So I was actually going between two phones talking to Bear Stearns and JP Morgan at the same time.
How's that possible in solitary confinement?
Impossible.
And it never struck you about how to end up
I
in a
mean,
situation
impossible.
like
They
this?
gave it to
No,
him.
that would be probably means I would be too self-aware.
You can't possibly expect me to believe this.
I know. I don't believe it.
It's no, it
Even
can't- it
with-
can't
as
be-
a-
it
as-
can't- You're telling me that during that day, you never had a moment. You sat there and go,
Oops, shit, sorry. But that just cut off because that was the end of the clip there that the AI saw. But I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, he's talking to Jess Staley on the one phone. He's talking to the head of Bear Stearns. Let me set the context for you there. About a few weeks earlier, the Bear Stearns was sold off to the Treasury and to JP Morgan. You know, they realized that Bear Stearns was going to collapse. And then the JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, helped with the Treasury to purchase Bear Stearns for JP Morgan. They set up this thing called Maiden Lane with all the toxic assets. Well, one of the things they also did was pay off Jeffrey Epstein's $6.7 billion offshore holding, which still no one knows who paid it off. This was just weeks before this event where he's in jail, because he went to jail after he got that payoff. So, you know, he goes to jail, he does the plea, I'm guilty, they send him off to jail, Lehman's collapsing, now he's on these two phone calls, having just got a $6.7 billion bailout from his offshore holding. You know, to me, there are so many unanswered questions about why he's still advising these people weeks after this settlement while in jail, having just pled guilty. It's just beyond me that and the fact that they would even take his call, that's the call that they'd be interested in taking on the day Lehman collapses. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, well, it does. I mean, it doesn't, because you would consider and think to yourself that shouldn't happen, but in reality, it does make sense because, like I said, they were all in the loop. They were all just like Howard Lutnick. Just think, he ran Cantor Fitzgerald. These are all the guys that run Wall Street. These are all the guys that are in the same. They're all in the loop. That's why right now you're seeing play out. The fact that we're seeing an inflated market right now while the economy is in shit is because you guys have like Bassett, Wall, Lutnick, and others that control Wall Street and are basically knowing how to maneuver and strategically use these hedge funds and use these other foreign money, because just think about how much foreign money is in these hedge funds from the Saudis and others that are using to prop up buying and strategical. That is
Exactly
because
right.
while Trump is in there, so that is why we keep talking about it's follow the money. It's an inflated market. Be very careful. This is all game, and this is what Zev keeps talking about. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, I just think what you talked about, the amount of foreign money inside the U.S. market, how much foreign money exists right now, whether it's the Saudis, the Russians, the Chinese. They have such a vested interest in what goes on, and they have so much control. And I think this started in 1987, but has grown and grown and grown. Every time they've run one of these, running up the market, which is what I think Jeffrey Epstein did in 2008 with all these others, as he was inflating the liquid funding balloon. So it was suddenly $6.7 billion by the end of it of just useless mortgages that were never going to get paid back. They knew that. And then crashing the market when he wanted to. He killed Bear Stearns because he asked for that redemption of all those funds that he had in those in the I'm not sure what the exact term was, but the funds that traded on mortgage-backed securities. So he's the one who triggered the collapse of Bear Stearns in order for JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon and Jess Staley to be able to buy it months before Lehman Brothers which didn't get the same bailouts. I mean, you know, it looks pretty obvious.
Well, right, amazing. With his relationship with Ace Greenberg to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And so he would have, it's always the guy on the inside that could help take you down. So the fact that like you said, he took down Bear Stearns, and allowed it. I mean, you could see. And again, you don't have to be around. You don't even have to know what we're talking about to connect the dots, to see the same names that are
Yeah.
coming up, to see what actually was taking place. And the biggest thing that most investors, most Americans, as common investors, don't realize, that there's more money being made when companies are destroyed, when markets go down, when there are crashes, than there are money when it goes up. And that's why people usually think, oh, there's a crash of 2008. Everybody lost money. The billionaires, this, but it's not true, folks,
No.
because usually in those times, like Zev keeps telling you, that's why he says follow the money, is where people that, it's called shorting stock. There was even a movie called The Big Short,
Hmm.
I think, about
Yeah.
the 2008 collapse, and that, that they made about, because these strategical people like the Lutnicks of the world, the Bassett's, like the,
Leon Black.
Epstein's, Leon Blacks, they made money on stocks going down primarily,
Yeah.
destroying companies, destroying markets, having, and the other thing, we talk about how much foreign money is in our stock market. Think about how much foreign money controls our bond market.
Hmm.
Yeah. So with all of that said, so
And they're positioned, by the
absolutely,
way, to
and
buy
their
these
position.
things. The markets collapse. Qatar and Russia and all these other players are sitting there on those sidelines waiting for that collapse. And when it collapsed, they're positioned to buy all the stuff at
Yep.
pennies on the dollar. Guess what? Those pennies on the dollar, they keep growing next time round. So they own a bigger piece of the American capitalist system every single time one of these collapses happens. And if you repeat it enough times, you can actually collapse the entire capitalist system, I believe. And that's what the Greatest Heist is all about. Lev, this has been fascinating, always amazing
Yeah.
hearing from you. But I wanted you to tell people about the petition. Maybe we should add Bernanke to
Thank you.
that
Yeah.
list. I want to hear what Bernanke has to say. I want to hear what Jamie
Yeah.
Dimon has to
Absolutely.
say. I want to hear what Jess Staley has to say about all of this
Yeah.
stuff. In addition to Steve Bannon and Michael Wolff, all of whom have lots to talk
Yeah.
about.
No, I agree with you. I would thank you, Zeph, and I agree with you 100% that they all, there's a lot of people that needs to be subpoenaed and questioned, and there's a lot more. But let's understand where we are today, folks. Today we are at, again, a standstill, because Todd Blanche has come out and said that they're not going to release any more files. This is it. This is the dump. This is the official so far stance. Yes, we're talking about Congress to somehow go after Pam Bondi, to hold them in contempt, to file procedures. But for that to happen, they need to hear our voices. So what we did is we put together the easiest way, because I know a lot of you are making phone calls, a lot of you doing what you can. The easiest way for them to hear our voices is we put together a petition. This petition has several names on it, including Steve Bannon and Michael Wolff, which I think strategically are the two biggest names that I think that if they would start deposing right now, I think it would open to a world of other, lead into other names and other things that would force maybe other dumps and stuff like that. So that's what the petition is all about. We need your name to sign it. What we're doing is, and I want to bring you up to give you some a little breaking news while we're here with Zev. So this community is more than just a community. We become a movement. We become a team. We become a team to help to survive, each and every one of you. And some of the leaders of this team, like Zev, Ellie, and others that are out there tirelessly, my son Aaron, going through all of these Epstein dumps, finding these, I call them needle in the haystacks that they're trying to hide, divulging them. What we're going to do is we're going to put together, and we're working on it very hard. And that's why your support, your help, we might need to even go out there and raise a little money to get some stuff going for this. Don't know. But our game plan is to put together a real portfolio, not the portfolio that Pam Bondi gave the Epstein files to those social media, that bullshit, but a real documented outline with a glossary, connecting the dot, basically chew it all up. And we're going to deliver it on February 12th. we're going to be in Congress. Actually, February 11th. Let me reframe, because February 11th is a big day. I want all of you to put a mark it. February 11th, Pam Bondi is going to be testifying in front of Congress about the Epstein files, about why they're delaying it. What I would like to do, what we are working on, is we are trying to right now get some of the survivors, and I want to be sitting in the front row facing Pam Bondi with the Epstein survivors while she's being questioned with our files that Zev and his team are going to work tirelessly on to put together. There's going to be one package that's going to be separately all about the pedophilia, the child trafficking, all the documentation, everything that we've been finding in the dumps, facts, not accusation, but facts, true to show, to lead exactly. And then we're going to have another package. It's going to be financial crimes. Everything Zev has been and his team has been working on to connect the links to 2008, to all of that, and we're going to bring it to Congress, and we're going to give it to them for them to be able to start dismantling it and bringing people to justice. Because folks, enough is enough. All of these people are in the loop. Doesn't matter if they're Republicans, if they're Democrats, if they're Jewish, if they're Christian, if they're black, if they're white, if they're all in the loop, folks. All of these people that are hiding, protecting, not coming out. Think about it. These people should not have to be subpoenaed. All of them should be standing in line from Michael Cohen's to the Lutnicks and saying, hey, I want to tell you what really happened. Instead, they're deflecting. Instead, they're calling us liars. Instead, they're saying it's not true. Instead, they were just literally, before they come out, before the dump falls, you hear them sitting like Lutnick, literally distancing himself, saying, hey, I knew the massage table. I knew he was a pervert. You wouldn't catch me in there. And now you see him going to the island. You see him having fundraisers for Hillary Clinton, inviting him to it. You see the relationships. You see Elon Musk. What's the craziest party that you're going to have? Just think about it. Just think about these conversations. He's not just going there. He's setting up the massage tables. Would you like a massage? The wording in some of these, the young one. Do you want the young one? I mean, folks, they're... Enough is enough. I mean, Congress needs to wake up. I mean, yes, we want to get all the dumps. We want to keep going. And probably there's a lot much worse if this is what they're leaving and what they're hiding. But we have enough right now that don't let them distract you. So please sign the petition, put your names on it, support, go Zev, support Ellie, support K Justice, Wajahid Ali, Dean Blundell, all the team out there that is, and others like my son Aaron and others that are doing investigative work, not just reporting, but actually are ripping these Epstein files up right now, putting together, helping us get this together. And we're not going alone. We're going there with some of the most powerful people here on social media. My dear friend Joy Reid is probably going to be joining us there on this, documenting it. We're going to be meeting with Congresswoman Crockett. We're going to be meeting with Congressman Ro Khanna, Congressman Jamie Raskin. We're going to be there for 2 days. That's the February 11th and February 12th. February 11th, we want to be there, and we want to be face Pam Bondi with the survivors to make sure she knows and faces us in the eye. And I want to be sitting there alongside of them. And February 12th, we're going to be there giving this package that our team is going to put together to every single congressman we can. We're going to walk the halls of Congress, and we're going to be dropping them copies off to each and every one of them. So this way they have the real proof, and they could go out there and each and one of them and use it to be able to get justice.
That's really well said, and I don't know why you cut off there again. As Lev Parnas cut off for some reason, I will just say that Lev has promised us all of this for a long time. He has promised that he will walk the talk on this, and he is doing it now. There's no doubt in my mind that he's actively still pursuing all these great moments that are. So I think you're back, Lev. I think I saw you there for a second. I think you were back. Oh, now I lost you. It happens, but I don't know why it keeps happening. There you are. You're back now. Can you see me? Yeah. Lev, I was saying that, I think it's fantastic. You've promised you would do all these things. Now you're doing all these things. And it's the kind of things you would have hoped others would have done before, but it doesn't matter. It's happening now. There is a lot of information, as you point out, in the Epstein files that we already have. But there's a lot of independent work that's going on out there by the people you mentioned, Ellie Leonard amongst them, who are just, and Aaron as well, who are doing tireless work in trying to unearth the real details of what went on. And there is a lot of painstaking. I can tell you, Ellie is up way too late every night, and she's going through every single document type. But it's also crowdsourced, and we're all discovering these things that not a single bit of evidence that has come up has made me think we've been on the wrong path. Every single bit that we find says we're on the right path. There is clear evidence of both financial and sexual crimes that are connected directly to the same network that gave us the Donald Trump presidency. And we know what they've done in the past. If we let them continue, we know that the damage could be quite awful to America. So this is urgent work you're doing, Lev. Everyone should sign the petition. I'll include it in the link below when we post this article. And thank you very much for interrupting your Sunday. And thank you for being here, Lev. I appreciate your time.
Zev, man, thank you so much for all the hard work you do. And if you don't, make sure to subscribe to the Narativ, because Zev is really helping put together all of this, not only connecting the dots, but also he is the godfather when it comes to the Epstein files. He's been working on this out of everybody the longest. He's been talking about this since while Epstein was still alive and documenting it before he even passed away and talking about it. So extremely important. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your support, but I want to do a special shout out, Zev, to all of you volunteers and all of you, what's the right word called, team players, because yesterday, I want to say a story, 11:30 at night, I get text messages from people telling me Ellie needs help with some technology. We got a tech guy here and we got him on the phone. We got him in touch with Ellie today in the morning. I'm like, Ellie, did you get the guy? We got the guy. I mean, it's incredible. It's just incredible to see how this community, this has turned into such a powerful movement. And this is the one thing Donald Trump, the DOJ, Pam Bondi, all of them did not count on, because they thought we're going to dump it, but they didn't realize with technology, with this amazing platform that we have built and team, they couldn't imagine how many of these eyes are going to be looking on this. So it's incredible.
And it's so important. And the crowd always beats the institutions. Every time I've looked at crowdsourcing the studies, when you have a lot of people, like the people watching this show, like the people who support you and support me, but also follow all these other people, when they do it as analysis as a crowd, when they do the research as a crowd, they'll beat the FBI hands down. They'll beat the DOJ hands down, because there are just many more eyes and different perspectives. So keep up the great work, everybody, in providing all this information and support. And we both really support everyone's involvement. And thank you so much for being involved. And that's our little Sunday edition of whatever it is we're doing on a Sunday. But we shall see you again, no doubt, tomorrow. I'll be back on the 5 Stack at 3, but I'm sure you'll be back with Dean or something tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
And we'll do it all again. Another week starts tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Take care. Enjoy your Sunday. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.